Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Service, Kuccps, Citizen Service Delivery Charter. Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Service, Kuccps, is committed to responsive, prompt, effective, impartial, and equitable service delivery. 1. Placement to university or college. For this service, the customer is required to submit preferred choices via prescribed channels and satisfy approved placement criteria before closure of the application. The cost is Kenya shillings 1,500 and the service is delivered within 30 days after submission of application. 2. Interinstitutional transfer. For this service, the customer is required to submit a duly completed transfer application form. The cost is Kenya shillings 1,000 and the service is delivered within 14 days after submission of application. 3. Registration for membership. For this service, the customer is required to submit a duly filled application for membership, a list of courses offered as approved by the relevant regulator, proof of institutional accreditation, and proof of payment. The cost is Kenya shillings 100,000 for universities and Kenya shillings 70,000 for colleges. The service is delivered within 30 days after submission of application. 4. Career guidance. For this service, the customer is required to submit a formal request to Kuccps providing at least 2 weeks' notice. The service is free and is delivered as scheduled. 5. Dissemination of information on available programs and their costs. For this service, the customer is required to access the Kuccps website or visit Kuccps offices. This service is free and is delivered 3 days prior to opening of placement application. 6. Provision of data for research, which excludes confidential data. For this service, the customer is required to A. Submit a written request. B. Submit a research authorization letter from National Commission for Science, Technology and Innovation, NACOSTI. C. Submit a research concept and topic. D. Submit a research proposal approved by affiliated research institution. E. Sign the compliance form. F. Share the final research report with Kuccps. The cost of the service is as follows. Kenyan students, Kenya shillings 3,000. International students, USD 100. Local NGOs and business, Kenya shillings 10,000. International institutions, USD 500. Local government institutions, free. The service is delivered within 21 days. 7. Response to phone calls. For this service, the customer is required to make a phone call. The service is free and response time is 15 seconds. 8. Response to inquiry for walk-in clients. For this service, the customer is required to walk in and make the inquiry. The service is free and the response time is 1 minute. 9. Response to correspondence. For this service, the customer is required to submit a written correspondence by either letter, email, or social media. The service is free and response time is 5 working days for letters and 1 working day for emails and social media. 10. Response to public complaints and grievances. For this service, the customer is required to make a complaint. The service is free and response time is 1 working day. 11. Resolution of complaints. For this service, the customer is required to make a verbal or written complaint. The service is free and response time is 14 working days. 12. Registration of suppliers. For this service, the customer is required to submit A. Duly filled application form. B. Company profile. C. Certificate of incorporation or registration. D. PIN certificate. E. Valid tax compliance or exemption certificate. F. Original bank statement. G. Copy of certificate of registration with relevant regulatory bodies. H. Copies of annual return forms filled by company registry. I. National ID or passport. The service is free and is delivered within 14 working days. 13. Processing of tenders. For this service, the customer is required to submit a bid for goods and services. This service is free and is completed within 90 days. 14. Notification of successful and unsuccessful bidders. For this service, the customer is required to access the e-procurement portal for notification. The service is free and is completed within 1 working day. 15. Payment for goods and services received. For this service, the customer is required to submit an LPO or invoice, a certificate of completion, and the goods or services are received. The service is free and is completed within 60 days from the date of receipt of the invoice. 16. Disposal of obsolete stores. For this service, the customer is required to submit a bid. The service is free and is completed within 60 days from the date of advertisement. 17. Public participation in policy making. For this service, the customer is required to familiarize with issues and participate actively. The service is free and is completed within 1 day. 18. Recruitment of staff. For this service, the customer is required to make a formal application based on the advert. The service is free and response time is within 90 days. 19. Processing of request for information. For this service, the customer is required to make a request for information. The service is free and is completed within 21 days. Service fees are non-refundable. We are committed to courtesy and excellence in service delivery. Any service that does not conform to the above standard or any officer who does not live up to commitment to courtesy and excellence in service delivery should be reported to both of the following: the Chief Executive Officer, Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Service, 3rd floor, Wing C, SEK Garden House, 1st Ngong Avenue, Community. P.O. Box 105166-00101, Nairobi. Telephone 020-513-7400 or 0723-954927. Email ceo@kuccps.ac.ke or complaints@kuccps.ac.ke. The Commission Secretary or Chief Executive Officer, Commission on Administrative Justice, 2nd floor, West End Towers, Waiyaki Way. P.O. Box 20414-00200, Nairobi. Telephone +254 2022 70000 or +254 2023030000. Email feedback@ombudsman.go.ke. Huduma bora ni haki yako.